117 years, Alpha Phi Alpha legacy demonstrates a proven record of manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind. Under the leadership of General President Willis L. Lonzer III, your focus on advocacy issues, community service, and engaging our communities illustrates your deep commitment to improving the lives of the people you touch. Your 97th General Convention theme, elevating the Alpha spirit, strengthening the brotherhood, and standing for justice, speaks power to the times in which we currently live. You are called to elevate during times such as these. You are elevating the Alpha spirit. Because for more than 65 years, you have touched many lives by providing countless service hours with your A Voiceless People is a Hopeless People program, working tirelessly to eradicate threats to voter reprisals and suppressions while educating communities in political processes. Because you have partnered with the Oral Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation to raise awareness and critical funds for human trials for a new treatment to eradicate cancer for 9 million people who die each year. And because you continue to elevate your brotherhood through your Brother's Keeper program by advocating and improving the quality of life for your senior brothers and their spouses and widows, as well as serving those of your members with disabilities or ailments. For those reasons and dozens more, I'm so honored to be with you today. So the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha, please stand. On behalf of the more than 355,000 members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, congratulations and best wishes on a successful 117th anniversary celebration and 97th General Conversation. President Lonzer, here's a little gift from us, small package, big gift, for you to celebrate and relax. Thank you for inviting us.
She had the nerve to turn around and tell me 2 minutes. You know, doggone well that was not 2 minutes. We know how y'all got y'all protocol at y'all convention. We don't even want to get started on that. All right. Ricky Lawrence Lewis, Grand Bachelor's, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Gotcha. Breathe. I got you. I got you. I got you. Rick will actually bring Ricky up after John Burrell. John is the executive director of Kappa Alpha Psi. Pomark is not here, but the executive director is here. Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Come on, John Burrell. Let's see if he can follow the 2-minute instruction.
Good evening. Good evening. It is truly an honor to have an opportunity to be here with you today. On behalf of Jimmy McMichael, the newly elected Grand Polemarch of Kappa Alpha Psi, we say thank you, Dr. Willis, for an outstanding job that you've done as a vice chair of the Council of Presidents. Under your leadership as the general president of Alpha Phi Alpha, our national president, Reuben Shelton, a good friend of yours who couldn't be here with you, and he sends his best wishes. With over 643 active chapters of Kappa Alpha Psi and 250,000 initiated members, you, as a leader of Alpha Phi Alpha, has demonstrated great courage, the steadfastness that you've demonstrated in your leadership. We appreciate the fond and heartfelt relationship with Frater Reuben Shelton. You and he have a great bond, and you share a great, just tremendous things together. he truly admires and appreciates how important it is in your friendship with him. During your 117th anniversary and 97th General Convention, your theme, elevating the Alpha spirit, strengthening the brotherhood, and standing for social justice. You as General President and Vice Chair of the Council of President carry a big stick of the actions by insisting the Divine Nine is heard loud and clear at every turn. As Vice Chair, you have demonstrated the importance of making sure the Divine Nine moves together as we continue to fight for those things that Alpha Phi Alpha stand for together. So, on behalf of Kappa Alpha Psi, it is my honor to present to you a check for $10,000 to continue your scholarship efforts as you continue to move Alpha Phi Alpha forward. And we thank you.
All right. Iotas gave 5. Kappas gave 10. AK didn't want to announce their package. Oh, you thought I wasn't keeping up with the money, huh? Everybody know how I feel about the money. Freddie, they don't know. I learned from Ambassador Young, count the money. Delta's right now trying to put a collection together. They like, we gonna top that. All right, Ricky Lawrence Lewis, Grand Ambassador of Omega Psi Phi. Ricky, come on up. Yeah, all y'all barking, y'all better be cash apping him.
Thank you, Roland. Good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings from the blue state of California. Can I say blue state down here? Yeah, we from the blue state of California. My name is Ricky Lewis. I bring you greetings from my home in Los Angeles. And on behalf of 200,000 initiated Omega men in 17 countries and on 4 continents, we want to bring greetings to the men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. And we thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. We thank the brothers of Omega Psi Phi for showing up. Hey, Qs. Yeah. Hey, Qs. Yeah. Hey, Qs. Yeah. Hey, Qs. Yeah. We just want to, Brother Lon, just want to let you know we was in the building. We thank you, man. We love you. We love you, brother. And we want to thank you for your service, and we want to thank your family for allowing you to serve. We're looking forward to you to take to him. You're going to be our president of the Council of Presidents in September. Looking forward to you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's huge. Sister Rashida Liberty is our president right now, and Willis is our... Okay, it's like that, SG Rose? All right. You got him hyped up, I see. So Brother Lanza is our vice, and he's going to go to the big chair. We certainly, again, want to take a moment to say thank you, man. We appreciate you. We want to come and support. I flew from Los Angeles today. We just going to see the elders tomorrow in Atlanta. Thank the men for Alpha for all the work you do in our communities. We appreciate you. The world is better because of the men of Alpha Phi Alpha, impacting the lives of these young boys. As I say all the time when I travel, we want to do all we can to disrupt this school to prison pipeline. Absolutely. And we could do it. We could do it. The man of Alpha, the man of Kappa, the man of Omega, the men of Sigma, and the men of Iota can do it. These young black boys need black men to step up and be in their lives. Absolutely. And we want to encourage them to go to college, start a trade, be a good father and good husband. And we ask the men of Alpha to stand in the gap with all of us as we impact their lives. So let me see if I got this right. So the Iotas gave 5 Gs. The Noops gave 10 Gs. Well, I'm going to throw in 10 too. 10,000 from the men of Omega Psi Phi, Brother Willis. Absolutely. To you, absolutely, absolutely. We're in this thing together. Let me say this last piece and I'll go. I have a beautiful token for you as well, for you and your family. Let me say this last piece before I go, and I talk about it all the time when our calls. This is speaking particularly to the black men. We're going to pretend ain't no women in here. Black men, we got to take care of ourselves. Self-care is important. Self-care is important. Absolutely. Our wives and our children are dependent on us to go to the doctor, get checked. Make sure your living trust is in place. Make sure your living trust is in place. Make sure your living trust is in place. Our families are dependent on us. We cannot do anything without taking care of our families if we don't take care of ourselves. Read a book every now and then. Read some scripture. Go for a walk. Listen to some music, the Dramatics, the Temptations, the Supremes, Luther Vandross, Frankie Beverly. Just relax a little bit. So I'm challenging all the men in the room for self-care. Willis, we love you. We're looking forward to you serving us as our president. Thank you for all you're doing for your family. Thank you for allowing him to serve. Roland?
That was 8 damn minutes. You spoke for 4 other presidents. Gave a PSA on health, Apple Music rundown. Finally got around that money, too. And then you're going to have the Omegas out here barking and chanting and all that sort of stuff. About to have me have a college flashback. We used to have parties, and we'd be stepping around the party, and Omegas coming and making all that noise. And we would just gently have a chant. We party all night. We stay up late. But most of all, alphas graduate. That shut them down every time. And alpha, we on a 4 and a 5 year plan, not the decade plan. Before I bring up our next president, y'all, there are Tom Brady has won the most Super Bowl rings in ever, 7 Super Bowl rings. But I want you to put your hands together for the brother who is number 2. I don't care if he played for the Cowboys. I love it when you play for San Francisco 49ers. Put your hands together for the great Charles Haley. A brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. There goes an alpha man. All right. Next up, I know she got more than $10,000. Y'all had 1,000 vendors at y'all convention. I know, because my damn chase alert was going off every 12 minutes for the stuff my wife bought at the Delta convention. I said, if you don't get your behind home and stop buying stuff. I came home, she like, where you going? I said, I got to go cover the Alpha convention and the Herbally convention to pay for all that Delta stuff. International President, Chair of the International Board of Directors of Delta Sigma Theta, Elsie Cook Holmes. I think the AKs were louder.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening. Before I start, I have to tease my brother, Dr. Willis Lonzer. And Roland, I just want you to know that my 2 minutes will be Dr. Will Lonzer 2 minutes. You know I have to tease you, but you know I love you. But anyway, good evening. I am Elsie Cook Holmes, International President and Chair of the Board of Directors of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. To my brother in leadership, the General President of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Dr. Willis Lonzer, other brothers, distinguished guests, family, and friends, I am elated to bring greetings on behalf of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a sisterhood that includes over 350,000 initiated members and over 1,050 chapters chartered worldwide. I am so excited to join you this evening with other members of the National Panhellenic Council of Presidents as we gather in unity with you on this occasion of your 97th General Convention. Thank you to my sorors of Delta Sigma Theta who are joining me this evening to spread a little crimson and cream in this sea of black and gold. Please stand, sorors. Can you all stand up? All right, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. A special word of thanks to President Willis Lonzer and the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity leadership. Thank you, Dr. Lonzer, for your leadership. Thank you for your warm welcome as I assume the presidency of Delta Sigma Theta during an unprecedented time in Delta's history in January of 2022. I appreciate the love and support that you provided. And you have been a magnificent leader, not only as General President of Alpha Phi Alpha, but as Vice Chair of the Council of Presidents. And we look forward to your assuming the chair in September. And we appreciate you standing with Delta, even though you were planning and getting to Dallas for this convention. I appreciate you stopping by Delta Sigma Theta's 56th National Convention public meeting last week in Indianapolis. Your convention theme, elevating the alpha spirit, strengthening the brotherhood, and standing for social justice, captures the sentiment of all that we need to do as we serve our communities. In addition, one of your convention objectives to prepare alpha men for their greatest usefulness in the causes of humanity, freedom, and dignity of the individual affirms what all of our organizations can do internally within our ranks to strengthen our potential. We believe in our collective power across our organization, and we lead the movement to empower our respective organizations for the battles that lie ahead. The biennium for our sisterhood also speaks to elevating our impact as we recognize that members of the Divine Nine since our inception serve as the voices in marginalized communities, but we still must do more. As the oldest of the D9 organizations, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity was the catalyst for this movement, the first to organize. We pay homage to all, and we owe a debt of gratitude to your founders who had the courage on a college campus 117 years ago to create an organization for our people when others would not let us be a part. And we all proudly follow in Alpha's footsteps. So we must continue the legacies of our founders, as we are the promises of their dreams. So congratulations on 117 years of existence, and enjoy this awesome convention. My brothers, I want to welcome you to the DFW area as well because I also reside here. I want to say a special hello to my church members and brothers and dear friends. And I hope that all of you can make a little time to enjoy the Big D as you enjoy your national convention. Wishing you much success and many blessings. And on behalf of the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, we have a gift for you, Dr. Lonzer, a personal gift that I'll be bringing down to you. And we have already sent via ACH our donation to your scholarship fund.
Look at you, all right. Coming in here starting some mess. All right, y'all, hold on a second. Hey, Tom Joyner.
What's happening?
I'm here at the Alpha Public Program, and let me show you, Tom. These are all the folks at the public program. They're here in Dallas. I know you somewhere on the beach. But the Omega president just pledged $10,000. I don't think he got it. So he said he gonna need some help to put for that 10,000. So he told me to call you. It's 2,200 people listening, Tom. Don't cuss.
You and your sense of humor.
Well, look, Dallas just wanted to say what's up to you. So all y'all wave at Tom Joyner on a beach somewhere in retirement. All right. All right, Tom. Take a shot of tequila. Holla. He ain't giving no money. Okay. Chris Ray, International President of them dudes in the blue coats. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, also newly appointed president of Barbara Scotia College in Concord, North Carolina. Chris. Wait. Why you look cobalt blue coat? Why you ain't get the dress code? But
I'm the president. I'm gonna behave. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I get the honor to not only represent the men of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. My brothers of the blue, please stand up. But I get the honor to celebrate my colleague and MPHC brother, Dr. Willis Lanza. What I've learned about Dr. Lanza is that he is an alpha man through and through. He has stepped up to the plate on the Council of Presidents and makes sure that the voice of alpha is in the room and at the table. His passion to address injustice is genuine and not just lip service. And God knows we have a lot of leaders who have lip service. Even though we may wear different colors, the assignment is the same. We must continue to stay focused on rooting out injustice. We must stay focused on tearing down barriers that keep us from achieving our ultimate and potential. We must continue to look racist individuals and institutions in the eye and tell them that we will not be moved. We must continue to stand in the gap for those whose voices cannot be reached in the halls of power. And most of all, we must stand united as men. And brothers, because our power is our unity, and that unification will make all the difference. Let me be clear when I say that you are not alone in this fight. The issues are great and the challenges are many. And no one organization can do it on their own. And so the men of Phi Beta Sigma stand with the men of Alpha Phi Alpha as we continue to lean in to the issues of the day. Now I know that you've been blessed with a few dollars from a few people. I know that it was been ACH'd in and quietly slipped in an envelope.
We want to thank all the presidents for their leadership and service, and certainly their voices are needed in this time as we continue to advocate for social change in this country. Again, another round of applause for the Panhellenic presidents of each one of our organizations. All right, folks, now it's time for a musical selection from Grammy nominees, also nominated 8 times for an Image Award. I mess with him all the time. He's got 8 nominations, ain't won one. I know, y'all understand. Y'all understand. Every time we see each other, he always said, man, I've been nominated 8 times. I said, I done won 4 of them. He's from Houston. He's an Alpha brother. Folks, put your hands together. He's known for his platinum love song, Why I Love You. Also nominated for Soul Train Award as well. Singer, actor, Major.
What if I told you hope was the key? Would you you believe me? Well, you should. Because hope is not only the key, it's the major key. See what I did there? Nah, but for real. Contrary to popular belief, hope isn't pretending your current struggle ain't real. It's actually a brave champion mindset and posture to take in the midst of it all. Storm or sunshine. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hope is not the denial of reality. It's a commitment to believe greater is on the other side of it. So you can either choose to be dragged along by the hardship of your current circumstances into things finally working out, or you can commit your mind to knowing that if you simply get through this, you'll eventually walk into all things being well in due season. Brighter days are coming.
Brighter day.
And there's light at the end of this tunnel.
There is light.
Reverend Jesse Jackson's been saying it for years.
Yeah.
Keep hope alive. And beautiful people. That right there is the major key. Hope. It's a powerful thing.
Everybody say hope. I said everybody say hope. Every single person in this room, there's a power when we all do it together. And you know how I know it's not everybody in the room? Because I studied voice and I know the collection of multiple and what that vibration would feel like. And I also heard you represent your other organizations, and y'all were louder than that. Before there was an organization, there was an understanding that hope would be the only way we can get to the other side. You can't talk about faith unless you talk about hope, because faith is the substance of things somebody knows about it. So if you'll oblige me, regardless of my brother Roland saying I've never gotten an image award, but I'm platinum. We went platinum. That pays a whole lot more than yep. Just trying to help people. That's my brother, and I love him so much. Brother Ambassador Young is in the building. Brother President, I respect you. I don't know where he's sitting, so I want to make sure. There you are, man. Of course they give you the center seat. Thank you for everything. Brother McCaskill, is he here? Is he in here? Thank you for everything. That's my brother. I see you. That's my sister too. So I'm going to get to the song, but we're going to say this whole thing together so I can actually feel like I'm welcomed. Because Roland messed up my intro. That wasn't what we sent him. So on the count of three, if we can all agree, hope is not the denial of reality, it's a commitment to believe greater is on the other side of it. 1, 2, 3, hope. Act like you know. Start the track. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Can you turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up? Can y'all hear this? I need it turned up, please. I said a prayer for you. I said a prayer. I said a prayer for you. I said this prayer. I prayed you take the moment. I prayed you take the time to see that you were special and always on my mind. I pray for you. I sang a song for you. I sang a song. I sang a song for you. I sang this song as the flowers fill the garden and the oceans greets the shore, the horizons of the sunshine, that of you I do adore. I prayed for you, yeah. Yes, I did. Can I pray for you? I will. I sang a song for you. I spoke this word. I spoke a word for you. I spoke this word. I said in this senseless violence, put a rest to prideful gain. There's a message in the silence that can heal our earthly pain. I prayed for you. Yes, I did. I prayed for you. I will. I say, holy waters, sons and daughters, revive our land, that we may rise again. Holy waters, sons and daughters, revive our land, that we may rise again.
Holy waters, sons and daughters,
sons and daughters,
revive our land,
revive our land,
that we will rise again.
holy waters,
sons and daughters, revive our land,
revive our land.
that we will rise again.
I prayed you take the moment. I prayed you take the time. Beautiful black people, to know that you were special and always on my heart and my mind. I prayed for you. I'll be back with the song you think you know me for. Stop the track. They don't deserve it yet. You saw how hard it was to get them to say hope? You saw how hard that was to get them to say hope?
I could have gotten to say it.
Oh, you, that's disrespectful. I'll see y'all in a bit.
Put your hands together for Major. And we will be hearing him with another song selection a little bit later. All right, folks, as Alpha's leadership was planning this year's convention and brainstorming about how to host a public program that would allow us as men of Alpha Phi Alpha to honor community service, to engage in a discussion about the social ills impacting us individually and collectively, and to outline an agenda for the future, an idea was birthed. With the various political rulings of the Supreme Court that are in essence dismantling years of protection, tonight's discussion is a play on Reverend Dr. King's most important speech that he gave, of course, to SCLC in August at their conference in 1967, is where do we go from here? So this session is called Politics 2023, where do we go from here? Our panelists, let's bring them up. First and foremost, Siobhan Arlene Bradley, President and Founding Principal of Reach Beyond Solutions, LLC, a strategy and innovation consulting firm designed to expand the leadership and strategic capacity of government, corporation, foundation, and nonprofit partners based in Washington, D.C. In January 2023, she was named as President and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women. She's also the immediate past co-chair of the National Social Action Commission, serving on the National Board of Directors of Delta Sigma Theta, where she serves as the current president and chair of Delta for Women in Action. Next up on our list, folks, if you're from Dallas or anywhere, you know he needs no introduction. He is our second panelist. He is a prophetic pastor, passionate leader, social activist who is engaged in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. He has devoted his life to economic justice and empowerment in underserved communities and is helping to transform the lives of the disenfranchised. He is the senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas and the new president and CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition, Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III. Our third panelist really needs absolutely no introduction. We don't have enough space on my iPad to read his bio. He was a confidant, one of the lieutenants with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., key strategist when it came to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, has dedicated his life to changing the course of history, not only the civil rights movement, but the civil rights movement after that as well. Activist, elected official, groundbreaking ambassador, social entrepreneur, advisor to presidents, and one bad mother. Folks, he is 91 years old, still on the front lines. Put your hands together for Ambassador Andrew Young. I want to first start off with this. April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King is speaking at Mason Temple, and he is talking about, and unfortunately too many of us, Ambassador Young, we only focus on the mountaintop part, but that was a 43-minute and 16-second speech, and we keep ignoring the other 41 minutes. Shame on us. In that speech, Dr. King talked about redistributing the pain. He name-checked companies to boycott. He talked about supporting black businesses. I want to get your thoughts initially on Alpha making the decision not to hold its next convention in Florida as a result of the racist policies of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
I'm sorry you put me on the spot on that one, because I don't like to run from segregation. I don't like to run from evil. We ran to Birmingham because it was a hellhole. And we kind of straightened it out a little bit. And out of the suffering and the struggle in Birmingham, we got the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And I was talking to one of the young people here who's a scholar, and I said, you know, I ran into Derek Bell's wife the other day, and he was our lawyer in Birmingham, and I forgot that when we got to Birmingham, the people there had already written their Birmingham manifesto. It was a whole list of the things that they wanted and the problems they had. And Derek Bell was our lawyer, and he went to Harvard. But before he went to Harvard, we put that manifesto in the papers. The white folks wrote a rebuttal and attacked Martin Luther King for the whole business. And then Martin was in jail, and he wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail and didn't have any paper. And he wrote it around the margins of the New York Times. And when he ran out of paper in the New York Times, he wrote it on toilet paper. And when that letter from the Birmingham jail came out, it went around the world. But I say that in connected to critical race theory. Derek Bell left there and went to Harvard and started talking about critical race theory, but I really think the ideas came from Birmingham, and they came not from Martin Luther King alone, but from Fred Shuttlesworth and all of the preachers and teachers and people, the ordinary saints of rank and file, that by their marching and their suffering and their facing down the dogs, gave us an agenda that, frankly, we're doing pretty good with. Now, you should shut me up, but since you didn't, I'm going to say that we took the message from Birmingham, and Martin carried it all over the country and all over the world. But that was from 1963 to 1968. And in 1968, he was taken from us, they thought. But I don't believe he's gone anywhere. And I thank all of you for commemorating his spirit in the rock there on the Capitol. And because he used to say, out of a stone of hope. Right. And out of the stone of hope, I don't like the idea of a divine nine, because there was nothing divine about Alpha when I joined it in 1950. But maybe that was just the brothers at Howard. But there's something holy and sacred about that statue. And it is a stone of hope that keeps us alive and keeps us going. So I want to thank all of you for your participation in that. And I want you to know that Martin Luther King is more powerful in more places in the world now than he was in 1968. And they did not quiet him. They unleashed his spirit.
Right.
And the hope that we were singing about and talking about is basically what has carried us through this far. And I tried to carry it on in Atlanta.
Well, you didn't. First of all, you didn't try. You succeeded. You didn't try. You succeeded.
Well, yeah. But we got it. We still. The thing is, the last thing we talked about in New York before he went to Memphis was Harry Belafonte, John Conyers of Michigan, Dick Hatcher of Gary, and myself, and with Dr. King, and everybody said, look, we've got to go beyond marching. We ought not have to get 1,000 people in the street. We ought to be able to pick up and call our senator or our congressman and get them to do it, because we got so far to go and so much to do. Now, that's what we tried to do in Atlanta. And we moved the movement into politics. And we've done pretty good. Just a summary, and then I'll go back on any of the details if you want. I went to visit the Atlanta airport the other day, and I heard that they had broken all the records for every airport in the world. 110 million people had come through there, and 80 million people had gone through Beijing in China. So they're that far ahead of any airport in the world. And so I decided I was going to go see the general manager and thank him. I was shocked, because when I went in there, I didn't see but one white man. And I didn't see but 2 more black men. It was 7 black women running the busiest airport in the world. And they looked like y'all. And they came out of your schools and they joined your sororities. But that airport had a $66 billion impact that year, over 1 million jobs that are controlled by that airport. And to see that, well, yeah, we got a bad crime, we got traffic, but we are making so much progress so fast in so many ways that well, as the song says, I don't feel no ways tired, Reverend.
But Pastor Haynes,
too
that's
far from where we started from.
and Pastor, that's why why when we talk about the focus of the money, we look at Operation Breadbasket, which I believe is one of the most underappreciated things that Dr. King did, and the idea came from Reverend Leon Sullivan. But part of that was not just, hey, we want products on the shelves, we want you to invest in black businesses, but if you don't, we are going to withdraw our dollars. We spend more than $1 trillion, but we have to get folks also to respect our dollar, which I believe is part of the reason why Alpha says to Florida, peace be out.
Right, and thank you for bringing that up, and I want to salute our president and national leadership for making such a decision. One of the things I'm definitely in agreement with our Ambassador Young, brother Ambassador Young, and that is when we went during the civil rights movement to Birmingham, we went to disrupt it. Now we don't go to Orlando in order to economically disrupt it and make them feel the pain of our not being there. And contrary to the Marjorie Taylor Greens of this world, we come with money. Not only do we come with money, we know how to tip and we handle our business. And so given that our dollars have sense, we decide to go where we are respected. We are basically standing in the tradition of our ancestors during the civil rights movement who said, if you don't respect our bodies, you will not expect our money. And so we live with that kind of sense as it relates to our dollars. And so Dr. King was right. We need to redistribute the pain, and we need to go back to, as we discussed yesterday, what Breadbasket was doing at the beginning, and that is giving a report card to any business that disrespects us, any business that does not treat our people right. We need to give a report card and then spread that report card to the entire community so we have decisions to make, because if you disrespect us, don't expect our money. I think we've got to go back to that, because $1 trillion, Roland, imagine if we withdraw that $1 trillion and then invest it in our own community. We can do some serious building.
Siobhan, I'm going back to that speech, and I reference it all the time because really too many people literally have not listened to it, read it. In the exact same speech, Dr. King said black people individually are poor, but collectively we represent one of the richest economies in the world. And he says in there, if we move as a collective, then we can begin to change things. That, to me, is what we must be talking about. If we're talking about Alpha, members of the Divine Nine, but extending that to Lynx, Prince Hall Mason, Eastern Star, all of these black organizations, if we begin to operate collectively, imagine if 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 organizations say no conferences in Florida. We're going to take our money to places where they respect us. Now, all of a sudden, folk realize, because trust me, that's what Disney is doing right now.
It's setting the standard. You know, first of all, thank you all for having us here. And NCNW actually is in alignment with what you're talking about. One of the things that Dr. Bethune talked about in the founding of NCNW was this idea of the collective context, where there was never going to be a table where black women would not sit together. And we're talking about economic impact. Let's talk about the economic impact of black people in this country. The number one consumer in the world are black people and people of African descent. That's first and foremost. But secondly, you're talking about not investing in Florida. What if 10, 20, 100 organizations got our own convention center? We got our own hotels. We decided to redefine. I want to shout out, I'm a proud Delta, and I'm shouting out my sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha for the credit union. These are opportunities that make a difference. But here's what I do see.
And Omegas are like, hold up, we had one first.
They did. The Omegas and the Sigmas have one.
Omegas, y'all might want to chill on that. Y'all had one first.
Absolutely.
See?
The Sigmas too.
I know y'all history.
And I think the biggest part that we're missing is this public meeting is actually a part of collective history for black people. We have always aligned together. Where white people have done their due diligence is by separating us across the board. So if we begin to start looking at the ways, if somebody comes for an AKA, they coming for me. If somebody comes for a Delta, they really coming for me. If somebody comes for one of my sisters, they're coming for me. If we look at this on the policy side and we decided, hands down, I'm done with this affirmative action stuff, if we would have voted in 2016, that Supreme Court would have looked different. Right? So you're talking about collective action. If we collectively would have gotten out of our seats, and let's talk about it, brothers that are voting for persons, and I can speak on both sides of C3 and C4 because there's partisanship and then there's factual politics. Factual politics says that we did not make the right decisions, and now we see what the Supreme Court has done. And in doing so, in 2024, if we don't wake up and collectively roll to the polls all day long, we will see not only economic disparities raised, but also health care. For every woman in the room, for every preacher in the room that's worried about abortion, it's the wrong issue. The issue is constitutional freedom. Collectively, if we talk about my rights, you can be on any side of any aisle, you can be on any side of abortion, but if you're not on the side of constitutional freedom, you're not on the side of black people, and don't talk to me.
Ambassador, long game, long game. When I look at Federalist Society, when I look at where conservatives are, they're operating with this long game, 30, 50, 75 years. That was their focus when it came to the Supreme Court. Y'all had to deal with folk who said, man, y'all not going to be successful with this civil rights thing. I don't want to get involved. But you got a lot of folks today, young, middle-aged, and old, who say, I don't see any change. I don't understand. Voting is going to be a waste of my time. And so what would you say to somebody today? How do we reach that person who has no hope, Major, who does not believe anything will change, and they'll say, you wasted my time? How do we reach that person?
First place, I grew up in the Second World War, and we had a song they used to sing. You got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. And it went on to illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do when everything got so dark? They had to accentuate the positive. Now, it's a dark time in some ways, but that's in the news. And the reason I told you about the Atlanta airport, because Atlanta's not dark. I mean, Atlanta is jumping. Atlanta's economy, I'm talking about metropolitan Atlanta now, is $400 billion annually. And so when the baseball team decided that they were going to pull the All-Star game out of Atlanta, they were pulling the All-Star game out of a county that had 3 black women running it and a black sheriff. And I went to him and I told him, you all move too quick because we need this kind of money coming in here because the change is in process. And they said, well, they couldn't get to us till 2025. And I said, fuck you. I said, we just gonna have to win the World Series, which we did.
Hey, you ain't had to bring that up. Y'all beat my Astros. You had to bring that up.
No,
but yeah, I got you.
I'm saying that Florida came very close to electing the sister as senator. And we had so much going on that we didn't give her even the same kind of support that we gave Jimmy Carter 40 years ago in Florida. I went to Florida when Jimmy Carter was running because we were trying to stop Wallace. And I went to every little county, and it was the fraternities and sororities that met me at the airport. And we mobilized the whole state of Florida. And that's how Jimmy Carter beat Wallace. And that's how I got to the United Nations. And that's how we brought Africa back into the game. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to pull out, but I'm saying that we are so heavily involved. I don't want anybody boycotting Atlanta right now, because I don't go to a restaurant anywhere that's not half filled with black folk. And the only reason I'm there is somebody with money took me. And I couldn't afford to be in those places. It's like going up here to Syria. I couldn't afford that. And we are making so much progress that we've got to organize what we've got. Mm-hmm. And we're ready to go to the next step. And so I have nothing wrong with protests. I've been jailed a couple of times. And I got my ass beat a couple of times. And I mean, it was a real ass whipping. I got kicked and stomped. And it was in Florida, in St.
Augustine.
And it was worse than everything that Beta Chapter did to me at Howard.
Flashback.
But the reason I got up and kept going was that I got up and kept going at Beta.
Right.
I've been through that before. You know, you don't let a whole lot of bull stop you and slow you down.
Pastor Haynes, connecting the dots. And I think that really is what so many of us, if we're talking about where do we go from here, 2023, 2024 election, people keep saying we got to vote. Well, first of all, you can't vote unless you're registered. You can't be registered unless you have been enlightened and educated. So for many of us, we have to understand what we must be doing today, preparing people, teaching them, to the ambassador's point, this, for the people who say, Biden Harris ain't done jack. You got to explain what's actually happened. Or this state rep isn't doing anything. No, this is what is happening, because a lot of folks are not following this up every single day, but we just simply can't just say, vote because somebody died. No, there has to be a different connecting of the dots.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, we can learn a lesson from Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., who in 84 and 88, between those two campaigns, registered to vote some 7 million people. But the thing is, he did not just say somebody died for your right to vote. He registered voters because he had an agenda. And so I think it's very important that we want to marry voter registration with voter education. And voter education simply says there are so many examples about how elections have consequences. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Trump-appointed judge denied reparations to the 3 survivors of the Tulsa race massacre. Elections don't matter. Imagine if that was a Clinton-appointed judge. In a real sense, reparations would have taken place. And so it's very important that we have voter registration with an agenda. And perhaps, and I hate to bring them up, but you got to give credit to the Tea Party. In 2008, we partied when Obama won. While we were partying, they went to planning. And as a consequence, they took over local elections, county and state elections. And we are to this day living with the consequences of their planning in 2008. You use the word long game. We got to have a long game. W.E.B. Du Bois told us in the last century we need a 100-year plan, or we continue to react to what others do to us. Instead of always reacting with all the brain power between the Divine Nine alone, and everybody ain't in this room who could be in this room, but between all of us, we have the brain power to come up with a vision 100 years from now that will benefit generations yet unborn. That's how you connect the dots and say we are voting with an agenda, and we vote with an agenda that has everything to do with a long game. Look at, what was it, Roe v. Wade. They lost a number of elections, but they did not stop their agenda, and as a consequence, they got done what they wanted to get done. We've got to have that kind of voting with an agenda, registering voters with an agenda, and then let's think big. Let's think big. We got Divine Nine represented right here. Why don't we make up our minds in 2024? We're going to register 1 million voters each between the 9 of us and register them again with an agenda.
I'll give an example. So 2012.
Wait a minute. Let me just say, they used to call me the Uncle Tom in the movement because I always looked at the other side. Mm-hmm. Not that one side was wrong, but like,
You know you want to say it, just go ahead and say it. You already cussed.
That we are further along than that. The voters are registered, say, in Georgia. And we would have won, Stacey Abrams would have been the governor if, no, people voted. But black men didn't like the idea of a woman. And they would not. Now, we have to face up to that.
Yeah, but
the other side is that we control the federal politics in Georgia. Georgia is a blue state. Raphael Warnock, who's supposed to be here, is taking care of business in Washington. He's the senator. We got 2 senators, one black and one Jewish. And we're doing okay there, but we're not doing okay in the county.
But Ambassador.
At the county level and at the state level. The state constitutions, it's the governor of Florida, it's the governor of Texas that is crazy.
Right, but in Georgia.
And I don't know, it's a kind of a sickness. And let me go ahead and break it down, and y'all forgive me. But it gets back to sex. And these folk are threatened by black manhood. And I mean, we've taken over the basketball games, the football. You know, we're moving in just about every direction. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But a lot of very rich people are getting very insecure about the very progress that we're making.
Yeah.
So
that's why my book is called White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds.
That's right. But they don't, I go back to all the way back. There's Arnold Toynbee has 17 volumes of history. And in one of them he says that Western civilization was dead when it started coming to America. And the only thing that will save Western civilization is the fact that there is new life and new blood. And he referred indirectly to the slaves coming here. Now, I know you don't want to hear this, but I decided when I was a young man that I was not sent here as slaves. I was sent here with all of us to redeem the soul of America. That's what Martin Luther King said. Right. Well, to redeem the soul of America, you give your life for America. You give your life to help this country rise to its true greatness. The integration of cultures here is creating another kind of spiritual world order. And it's like Joseph in the coat of many colors. Did his brothers sell him into slavery? He didn't think so, and he was easily to forgive them when they came after the famine. And he understood that God sent him into Pharaoh's kitchen to find a way to get to Pharaoh to save Egypt at that time. And so there is a sense in which, well, were we sold into slavery? Yes. Or was that an act that sent us here to redeem the soul of America and also to redeem the planet Earth?
You said something earlier, you talked about Georgia, where Georgia is now. But Georgia didn't get there without mobilizing and organizing.
No.
When you dropped the registration numbers, when we were talking about...
No. We haven't dropped.
No. What I mean is, with the automatic voter registration, there were policies put in place that got the folks registered. Here in Texas in 2022, 75% of all young voters 30 and under did not vote. Right now in Louisiana, the registration numbers in Louisiana for black people are significantly low. Mike Espy, more than 100,000 black folks did not vote in Mississippi, and he only lost by 65,000 votes to Cindy Hyde-Smith. Right. So with Pastor Haynes, what you're talking about there, by registering those folks, we have to use the data, looking at our numbers and where our weaknesses are.
Well, let me keep on to signifying.
And then driving it.
No, let me put one thing in. I fight with my women.
You're welcome.
I don't like these purses. I wish the money that goes into these fancy, highfalutin purses that are designed in Europe were going into education. And I have that fight at my house.
But also, I wish the Air Jordans would also go into education as well.
I have it with my wife, but I don't have it with my daughters.
Absolutely.
But Ambassador, 1 second. I got it. Pastor Haynes, on the mobilization part, we have to be wherever we are, looking at our local numbers to see where the weaknesses are, and then that's where our possibilities lie.
Roland, right here in Texas, you have 700,000 unregistered black voters. Trump won Texas by less than 700,000 votes. In Texas. And so as a consequence of voter suppression laws that were added to in the 2023 session, voter suppression, it's more difficult to vote in Texas now than it was in 2021. And so I don't want us, I think it's a both and, Ambassador Young. I think you have some who are registered in some states. I thank God for Georgia, but I can't live here in Texas knowing that they are doing everything in their power to stop us from voting, because you have the Grand Wizard of Texas trying to outdo the Grand Wizard of Florida, and their main thing is they don't want us voting. And so we have to register folk to vote and then mobilize, educate, and get them to the polls. That's still the deal.
Siobhan, I'll give you an example. 2011, Ohio passes a voter suppression bill. They needed 300,000 signatures to get it on the ballot in 2012 to vote on it. So I'm at CBC. Congresswoman Marsha Fudge has her panhellenic panel, and I'm questioning all the presidents. And I said, how many of you know about this thing happening in Ohio? And none of them knew. And Congresswoman Fudge, she's looking at me, she's like, okay, move on. I'm like, nope, not moving on. And I stayed on it. Here's what happened. The next day, the panel met. The next day, amongst all Divine Nine, they recognized they had 120 chapters in Ohio alone. If the Divine Nine said every chapter will get 1,000 signatures for the petition, the Divine Nine alone could have been responsible for 1/3 of all that was needed. So the point I'm making is we keep touting our numbers like a pastor touts his church numbers, but it ain't reflected in tithes and offerings.
Well, it depends on the church you go to.
There you go. What I'm saying is we have massive numbers if we use them.
But let's talk about the context. Georgia and Texas, Delta Sigma Theta actually filed suit against both of those states because of the voter suppression laws that were happening. You cannot serve water in line, state of Georgia. You can't access those that are seniors. They can't sit. I mean, these are clear characteristics of white supremacy. And when you're talking about collective action, I want to tell you this, and this is controversial for some, but white supremacy also lands in our organizations as well.
Oh, yeah.
But wait a minute.
Hold on, Ambassador.
Let me give
Finish your
context
point,
to that.
I'm coming. Go ahead.
Because where white supremacy shows up is in these conversations where we're splitting ourselves based on the collective few instead of a collective we. And if we decided to be a collective we, where we decide which states we're going to focus on, what our battlegrounds are going to be, if we didn't care about the color of the t-shirt and be United Shades of Black, then we would actually be able to change the trajectory of all these states. And let me just say this about black women. Let me thank black women for saving democracy again. Because, and again, this is not about party, this is about percentages. If you're looking at low propensity voters, that's what we talk about, low propensity and high propensity voters. This conversation we have is to acquire. What we have to start doing is changing the landscape of who's in this room. Who are we inviting that's not in this room? There's about 3 million degrees in this one room. And what we have not done is dealt with the low propensity voters who don't care about Divine Nine and come off of our high horse and say, you know what, brother, sister, we need to take you to the polls. We need to train you on how to do this. The battleground states, we got to start calling them out. Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona. I mean, these are states where black people are.
Right.
And if we decided to use the VAN system actually calculates not only chapters, but number of low and high propensity voters.
Right.
And if you understood the difference, the high propensity voters are in this room. We're going to go vote because we were taught to vote. But the low propensity voters are the people that got their pants hanging down and you talking about them when they walk by instead of bringing them to the polls with you. So we got to do our due diligence to identify how we organize. This is the last thing I want to say about this. Black men and black women have to stop fighting too. We have got to change this narrative of them, us. Black women are saving the day, but guess what? Brothers, your 17% needs to be in line with wherever we're all going. Why do we collectively do this as a people and begin to start focusing all of our investments? We've got to invest in communications. We've got to invest in mobilizing on the ground. You said mobilization. You said education. We also got to talk about candidate updates. I want to clarify a myth for this room. Every Divine Nine organization should be hosting candidate forums. It is not against your tax status.
That's right.
We are all 501c7s mostly in the room. We are able to highlight every candidate that is running in our organizations. You cannot endorse them, but you should be educating your communities about them. And what we have done is we've handcuffed ourselves and said, well, we can't get into that space. And that's the problem.
Right. It would be a very risk averse.
Yeah.
Ambassador?
Yeah. In 1972, a couple of things happened. One, I got elected to Congress. I got elected to Congress in a pouring down rain. It rained from 9 o'clock before voting day all day long, and it didn't stop till midnight on voting day. And I said, Lord, why did you drag me out here and leave me? But we had a 73% black turnout of voters. And it was black women in the rain that didn't worry about their hair. They worried about their souls. See? And that's what set Atlanta right.
But right, the 73%.
I'm saying, no.
So with Andrew...
But there was another thing that went with that. There's a guy that had a McDonald's operator, Mac Wilburn.
Yep.
And Maynard Jackson asked him, said, I want to give $1,000 to each county in Georgia that has a black majority population and no black elected officials. And Mac said he was from Arkansas and he didn't feel confident. But he said, can I give it? And that's the first time I ever know a black man that wrote an $18,000 check by himself for those 18 counties that didn't have a black elected official. Now, that's the state. We've been working on the state. We haven't gotten there yet, but we've been working on the state since the 70s.
But I want to focus on the 73%. Andrew Gillum runs in Florida.
Yeah.
Loses by 30,000 votes. Tallahassee Democrat ran a story that showed the top 15 voting counties. 1 through 10 were all red. They voted 65% or higher. You had to get to 50, you had to get to Broward, it was at 57%. Miami-Dade was 54. Louisiana, we ran the numbers in the last election. The black turnout was 38, 35, 32. You won because it was 73. In Chicago, Harold Washington won because it was 85. The problem when we study the numbers, yes, in many cases, some places we are registered, but our percentage is 40, 45, 50. So if we're talking about where do we go from here, Freddie, we've got to, again, study the numbers down to the precinct, and they're all public. You can say in this neighborhood, 38 people voted, but 400 were registered. We should be targeting that neighborhood to get that number to 200 to 300. That's how you change the dynamics and not just keep thinking so large. You got to hit precinct by precinct to get to 73%.
Well, we're in different places, but because we can't give water in the line. But we got 11 days that we can vote. See, we have 11 voting days in Georgia. And so by spreading it out, we don't have the long lines, and we don't need people staying but we didn't put the burden on our poor people. See, we put it on the legislature. And the legislature, and the Supreme Court kind of upheld that.
But we don't have, look, I'm born and raised in Texas. We don't have any luxury with this legislature because they really do not care.
Well, you don't know.
I do know.
No, you don't have it was a black woman that got Georgia reapportioned so that I could get in. And she was with the Urban League and Grace Hamilton.
But the problem we have here, you have a supermajority in this state. Georgia has, North Carolina just has a supermajority. Florida has one.
We don't want to just break down on what's wrong.
No.
I'm it's about what's real, because the bottom line is you not only have a supermajority, you have a gerrymandered state.
Exactly.
And they've drawn up these funny lines, and as a consequence, we have fewer voting rights protections in 2023 than you had when you got elected in 1973. So we've got to deal with the honest reality that right now our voting rights are under attack.
So Ambassador, I'm trying to get to your 73%.
If you're playing baseball,
not 50,
you expect the pitcher to throw at your head, and you got to get out of the way.
Got it.
I mean, it's a game, and life is at stake in this game. And we have to play it at all levels at the same time.
Siobhan, when you're out talking,
it's not either or, it's both and.
Siobhan, when you're out talking, and again, a lot of people don't know how to communicate what's going. How are you communicating to somebody who says, "Ain't nothing changing, none of this is always wasting my time"? What are you saying to that person?
So it depends on what they value, right? The inside-outside game on all of this is about what our voters value. And black people are, looking at the last two Essence polls that came out, particularly black women, black families are interested in key issues, health care, criminal justice. So when they talk about George Floyd, people say, you know what, nothing is changing. What I start talking to them about are specific policies that are aligned for us. I look at that infrastructure bill. Nobody knows what's in the bill. The challenge is, how are we communicating in it?
Right.
The infrastructure bill actually has the ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program, that actually has rebate dollars on the ground for states to be able to put free internet in homes. Nobody's talking about it. This actual bill also is putting money in states where black businesses are supposed to get a percentage of all these contracts, but there's no one holding them accountable. So when I start talking about what's available, then people begin to pique their interest. But you have to start dealing with what is value to voters. What do we value? So, because vote, just say go vote, and I want to talk to there's young people that's...
See, I tell a person, what are the 3 things you care about?
That's the
We
value.
start there. I don't even go. I say, what are the 3 things you care about, and we go from there.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is the generational piece. You got a generational challenge right now. Young people are not having it. Young people are not moved by just a history conversation.
Nope.
And we've got to be able to say, instead of something's wrong with you, we got to ask ourselves, well, what did we do wrong that they are this way?
Well, in fact,
what are we creating space for young people to be able to engage?
But this is where, and I'm going to go to Pastor Haynes and Ambassador, this is where we also should be talking about black posters. Terrence Woodbury, Cornell Belcher. Terrence Woodbury presented some data to Melanie Campbell's group in Atlanta, where based upon focus groups, and this was one of the interesting things that he said. He said, if you use the phrase voter suppression, he said voters 45 and under automatically think that's civil rights movement. He said, but if you say they're closing our poll locations, he said that identifies with him. Right. He also said in the data, he said, if you look at most politicians, when they come talk to black folks, they talk in terms of poverty dollars, whereas young voters today want to know about, what about business creation? And so part of this, and this is where every Divine Night reach out, and I got his number, to Terrence Woodbury and Cornell Belcher, 2 of the preeminent black posters, Ron Lester, another. They've been doing specific focus groups on black folks to say, this is what you should say. And last point, Freddie, he said, if you, in all the data points, the black voters, if you told those black voters, your vote will make the difference between winning and losing, they voted at a higher rate. Amen. So we have to know the language to be speaking to black folks in 2023 that's not the same as 83, 73, 63. Go ahead.
Tell the whole truth. So, and this is a generation that's concerned about the environment. Right now, this planet is on fire, and this generation is growing up wondering, am I going to have a planet to live on? And so to connect voting with the planet and an agenda that reflects that, energizes that vote. I got to go back to this, though, Roland, and that is the whole piece around education. I'm talking about public education. I was teaching at Paul Quinn College a few years ago during an election year, and a young cat bragged to me, I don't vote. And went on to say, I don't vote because of the Electoral College, which is going to elect the president regardless of what I do. We kept talking. The brother never had civics. The brother never had government. And as long as you have a Republican, right-wing, extreme government controlling education, they want us ignorant. They want to rewrite history so that they don't know, so we don't know what role we played in history. And so it's not even unusual that they're talking about what? We benefited from slavery. No, y'all benefited from slavery. They're talking about we gained skills from slavery. No, we came here with skills. And so we've got to take back our education, and in taking back education, we've got to teach folk how government works, because most of our children now don't understand civics or government, and if you don't understand it, you reach ignorant conclusions based on the lack of education.
We're going to close. I got literally,
let me just say,
I got 2 minutes, and we're going to close with this, and I want you to speak to this. Birmingham changed because James Bevel was teaching the children. Anybody who studies the movement, y'all were teaching in the cities that you were going to. Do you believe that we have to get back to freedom schools and the teaching aspect, not just in the classroom, but externally to teach our folks about going to the next level? Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, but James Bevel and Bernard Lafayette, John Lewis did their job in 1960. Fisk is supposed to be teaching children now. Fisk is supposed, and Tennessee State is supposed to be teaching teachers in the classroom to get to black history. We don't know, lift every voice and sing.
But Ambassador, here's the problem. There are 107 HBCUs that have 247,000 students. 20% of them are non-black. There are 1.
But that's okay.
No, Ambassador.
No,
Ambassador.
we are not.
There are 1.6
This
million.
has never been about black folk. It's been about right versus wrong.
Right, but there are 1.6 million black students at PWIs, and so the reality is there are 6 times more black students at PWIs than HBCUs, so we can't just solely think the HBCUs are going to teach them because we got the 1.6 million at PWIs.
But we got 52,000 people in Georgia State University right now because we won a lottery.
Yes, and we got here at Texas A&M, my alma mater, they won't even hire a black journalism professor who has the credentials because the governor and the Board of Regents didn't want the sister there because she worked for the New York Times. And so,
okay, and we got a black president at Georgia State, and we graduate more black students there on Hope Scholarship than any school in the world.
And what I'm saying is what y'all done in Georgia has to be replicated in multiple states so we can get to our goal.
But we won't do it complaining about it. We do it by organizing.
Yes.
And the organizations are right here in the Divine Nine. If you're getting the message from God right now, the world is on fire. And if we're going to save it, it's got to be about seriousness. We had 400,000 volunteers working for nothing with the Olympics. And when we brought the Olympics, we raised $2.5 billion for the Olympics, and black folk got 41% of every dollar spent. See? And it's over a long period of time. Now those folks' children are going to colleges, and they're getting the message from their parents. And so I'm not talking about what's wrong anymore. I'm talking about what's right and how we build on it.
So I'm gonna say this here, to close this out, because I know Major's coming up with another song, and that is this. Our marching orders for me are very simple and pragmatic. And that is when we leave here, we have to operate from a micro and a macro standpoint. Every person leaving here, you go back to your particular city and say, what was the black turnout in my city? Right. Where are our voters? The data is there at the Board of Elections. Let's go study the data and then begin to say low propensity, high propensity. And then look at school board elections, city council elections, county elections, state rep, state senate, gubernatorial, then congressional. Because what we saw in the 2022 midterms, Moms for Liberty, right-wing hate group, ran school board races all across the South. They took over.
Don't tell us what the enemy's doing.
No, Ambassador.
Let me tell you.
Ambassador, 1 second.
When I lost,
Ambassador, I have to say this here because here's what happened. They took over 14 of the largest school districts in South Carolina and immediately started firing the black superintendents. And what I'm saying is those were school board races that were 100, 200. We can take over those school boards if we get
play.
That's
one inning.
No, that was South Carolina, North Carolina. That was Georgia, Florida. It was across
when
the South.
When you get thrown for a loss, you don't quit. You go around the other side. Or you line up your blocking different.
And what I'm saying is we about to block, we about to tackle, we about to line up to fight, but I need us to leave here and study the data to see where the numbers are. We got to study the numbers.
We find a way to win it.
Oh, yeah.
This is a public game. If we can win basketball games, football games, track meets, which we can win this political battle. We don't need to bitch. We need to work.
And right. And so what we're going to do is, I got it. So what we're going to do is very simple. Again, we have sessions for our convention later this week. I know every Divine Nine organization has that. I interviewed Brother Lonzo earlier, what they're doing with the Pan Hell We are not going to operate in silos in 2024. We're going to be working with multiple organizations to be able to change the difference. Put your hands together for Siobhan, Pastor Haynes, Ambassador Andrew Young. Right now, folks, give me 1 second. I got him. Pull his notes up. Folks, many of you heard his platinum-selling song, Why I Love You. It was a hit all across the country, and right now, I'm going to bring up Major to sing his hit song, Why I Love You. Major, come on out.
Yeah. So, I'm about to sing a song that Stevie Wonder said would be the wedding love song for years to come. It was a love letter that I wrote to God, and love wrote me back. This song has literally changed my life, and I dedicate it to every beautiful lady here, to my wife in her absence, who also happens to be an AKA. If I can get stillness for a moment as I share this song called Why I Love You. It's an interesting transition, but we're going to go with what God allowed. Is that all right? I found love in you, and I've learned to love me too. Never have I felt that I could be all that you see. It's like our hearts have intertwined into the perfect harmony. This is why I love you. This is why I love you. Because you love me. You love me. This is why I love you. This is why I love you. Because you love me. You love me. I found love, and I found it in you. And no other love will do. No. Every moment that you smile, it chases all the pain away. Forever and a while, in my heart is where you'll stay. Can y'all help me sing?
This is why I love.
Everybody sing.
This is why I love. Because you love me. You love me.
You sing.
This is why I love. Ah, this is why I love. Because you love me. You love me. You do.
The stars have all aligned, and right now is the perfect time to say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I do. This is why I love you. This is why I love you. Because you love me. You love me. This is why I love you. This is why I love you. Because you love me. You do. Beautiful people, I found love. And I found it in you. Yeah. There ain't no other love that would do. So I'll say, I love you. Beautiful people, if there's love in the room, everybody say love. I knew it. If there's love in the room, everybody say love. I'm going to come down there and I want everybody in this building up on your feet right now. Everybody up. Understand this, that regardless of everything that's going on in the world, love is the one thing that can change it and make a difference. If you agree, make some noise. If you agree, say love. Everybody sing it out.
This is why I love.
Can I hear you sing it out?
This is why I love.
Everybody sing it out.
This is why I love.
One more again, sing it out.
This is why I love.
Everybody sing it now. Can I hear you sing it out? God bless you, sing it out. Good to see you, God. Everybody sing it one more again. Yeah, 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 yeah. I found love. And beautiful people, I found it in you. Let me get to her move, man. Ain't no other love that will do. So I'll say, God bless you, beautiful people. My name is Major. I'm an alpha man, and I approve that message.
Put your hands together for Major from H-Town. Put your hands together for Major from Houston's own. Way to go, Major. We appreciate it. All right, folks. If you can quiet, please, we're not done. In 1952, the Alpha General Convention established the Alpha Award of Merit. And if you please take your seats, please take your seats. And the Alpha Award of Honor to appreciate the award recipients for the tireless efforts on behalf of African Americans. Excuse me to everybody in the room, please take your seats. These two awards have become two of the greatest awards that Alpha Phi Alpha bestows. Tonight, the General President will present two Alpha Awards of Honor and two presidential citations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our General President, Brother Dr. Willis Lonzo III, the General President of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Could you please take your seats, or if you're leaving the room, please leave the room quietly. I'd like to thank everyone for a wonderful public program. I like festive debates because they recognize and reflect what we're really dealing with in our community, and that's the melding of generations. We all have a different perspective. But tonight, I have the privilege, and I want to thank Brother Martin. Do your selfie with Brother Major, it's all right. For the introduction and serving as our Master of Ceremonies and panel moderator, we appreciate you. Let's give him a round of applause. I have appropriately removed some of the flora and fauna from the script so we can get down to the brass tacks of why we are here, and that's recognizing some outstanding people who have served our greater community at large. But before I proceed, I have to acknowledge the First Lady of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, my beautiful wife and Silver Star member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, my wife Pamela Lanzer. Please stand. And being the doting father that I am, and I only have one daughter, I have two sons, I got an extra amount of them. My daughter is in her now second year, approaching, of being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha through the Mu Pi chapter at Spelman College. The last convention she attended, she was not a member of the Divine Nine, but now she is. Camille, would you stand? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege tonight, and I'm going to understand what my great staff and my great protocol director has done, but I have an unusual privilege tonight. I am a scientist, an expert in biomedicine and an executive in pharma, but as a young HBCU chemistry major who was aspiring to decide what to do with his life, I ran across the name of the first person who is about to be awarded a very significant award. As Brother Martin said, and you may have missed it due to the transition, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity offers to non-members a high recognition award called the Alpha Award of Honor. It is the highest award that we present to an individual who is not a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And tonight, while some of you majored in business administration, social work, and many other astute areas of study, we are in the presence of STEM majesty and STEM regalness in the person none other than Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. Now, Dr. Jackson is receiving the Alpha Award of Honor, and I want to ask Dr. Jackson, because I need you to come and stand by me, to please come up. Please receive her with a warm round of applause. All right. Please stand here. Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, theoretical physicist, inventor, major research university president, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in New York. She is an iconic figure, not a black woman, but among all genders and around all disciplines. She has the distinction of being the first African-American woman to receive a PhD from MIT in any field, and that has served her in a prolific career spanning research, public policy, and academic leadership. You have worked, and I remember reading in the magazines about you, Ebony. I was looking in there and I saw you as a young collegian and as a young person working as a theoretical physicist at Bell Laboratories. You, at in an interesting time in our history, you were the first African American woman and African American to chair the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Oh yes, she's well deserving of this applause. You also chaired President Obama's Intelligence Advisory Board and served on several boards, including IBM and FedEx. And in fact, if that was not enough, for 23 years, you served as the 18th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. During your time, as president, you helped to raise over $1 billion for philanthropic efforts. I stand corrected. My team messed up. $2 billion. In addition to your doctorate from MIT, you have also been awarded over 50 honorary doctoral degrees, as well as countless honors, including the National Medal of Science, which is a very highly esteemed award, as well as the nation's highest honors for contributions made in science and engineering. But see, when we study people like you, Dr. Jackson, and I got my PhD because of people like you in biochemistry. That's why I did it, because I was inspired by you. But like you did during my journey with the PhD, you were isolated socially at MIT, but your sorors of Delta Sigma Theta helped to uphold you as you made your journey, as the men of Alpha also helped me to endure that grueling process of the PhD in biochemistry. So tonight, I have the esteemed pleasure for your demonstrated commitment to social justice in the field of science and technology, present to you Alpha Phi Alpha's highest award for a non-member, the Alpha Award of Honor for 2023. Dr. Jackson, congratulations. Let me present this to you. We're going to start this way, Dr. Jackson. I cannot let Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, one of my heroes, my sheroes, not have a few minutes just to at least express her sentiments. Dr. Jackson.
Thank you very much. First of all, don't be confused by the blue dress. It's because I had to leave my red dress in another place. And so let me start, Dr. Lonzer, by thanking you and all of the great men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated for this very, very high honor. But I especially would like to call out the brothers of Beta Pi Lambda chapter of the Greater Capital Region of New York for nominating me for this award. I think Brother Chris Ellis is here. Brother Louis Tobias is here. Excellent. And so these young men, everybody's young to me at this point, have been great partners where we've worked together to bring more young people into STEM. And as president of Rensselaer, I had the great privilege and honor to be able to support what they did financially, including from the university, as well as my husband and my personal commitment. And so, you know, without this sounding like I'm paying for an award, I'm going to make a personal commitment that at least matches what you've received to the George Biddle Kelly Foundation.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. Outstanding. Thank you. Please, brother. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And then finally, you know, our lives unfold in ways you don't know. And so my life unfolded the way it has, really because of the confluence of two interesting events. One was the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision. Now, I'm old enough that that changed my life, because when I started school in Washington, D.C., the schools were segregated. And they were pretty immediately desegregated because of that decision. And so instead of going miles across town with my sisters, I was able to go to school in my neighborhood, interestingly enough. But the second was when the Soviets launched the Sputnik satellite. And that got everyone in this country worked up about what was going to happen. And so the space race began, which was really a science-based defense race. And the curriculum changed in the schools. And some people say it was because the schools were desegregated. There was a tracking system introduced, and we were tested in the 6th grade, and I ended up in an accelerated program. And that ended up leading me to MIT. But I've lived my life and my career because of things my father told me, which were the following. Aim for the stars so that you can reach the treetops and at least you get off the ground. My mother taught all of us to be able to keep our own counsel, draw on our inner strength, to get through the hard times, and to try to do something for someone else along the way. And so I've always subscribed to the point of view that I think it is important when these windows in time open due to people like the great Ambassador Young and so many others, that it is important to step through that window and to try to make a difference in the world. And so I've had the privilege of being able to do things like help eliminate loose weapons-grade uranium. I know that sounds pretty esoteric, but remember, that's what bombs are made of. I've had the pleasure of working with countries of the former Soviet Union to strengthen the safety of Soviet-designed reactors after the big Chernobyl accident, and to work with the post-apartheid government, the Nelson Mandela government in South Africa, to train their regulators and to strengthen and help to write nuclear legislation. So each of us serves in our own way, and I felt, and have always felt, it's my responsibility to take the gifts I've been given and to step through my window in time to help our own young people along the way, working with great partners to make a difference. So this honor means so much to me. And by the way, my great husband is a brother who became an alpha at Fisk University, and we've been married for 42 years. So alpha men are not bad.
Thank you so much, Doc. Appreciate you so much. In the spirit of history and divulging more about the Alpha Award of Honor, there is only one other time that is in our recorded history since 1952 that an organization has been recognized by the fraternity for its excellence, and that was the PepsiCo company back in the 50s because of their acceleration of black leaders. I know that the international president, Danette Reed, and the international president, Elsie Cook Holmes, are both retired executives of Pepsi. I do drink Coke, but on occasion, I drink Pepsi for you. I just wanted to be honest. But tonight, and I did a lot of investigation when I made this decision, and it is intended to be the opening to other recognitions like this, because I recognize the torch of hope and enlightenment that women in America carry for our communities. I have the distinct pleasure of offering this next award being presented to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, led by its international president, Ms. Danette Anthony Reed. Would you come forward, please? Thank you. Thank you. So tonight, we know the annals of history reflect that the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha were founded on the campus of Howard University in 1908 and is the oldest Greek letter organization established by African American college-trained women. The small group of women who organized the sorority were conscious of their privileged position as women of color in the academy and just one generation removed from enslavement. These visionary leaders were resolute that their college experiences should be as meaningful and productive as possible, and Alpha Kappa Alpha was founded to apply that determination. As a result of their effort, they were able to delve into the scope of our society and establish that as the world has become more complex, there is a need for associations that cut across racial, geographical, political, physical, and social barriers. And Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is an organization that fulfills this need. We reflect on many of the contributions that your sorority has illuminated to the black community. And a strong example is the historic Mississippi Health Initiative, led by your sorority to provide health care to individuals who were impoverished and sharecroppers in the state of Mississippi. The goals of Alpha Kappa Alpha's programs and activities center on significant issues in families, communities, government halls, and World Assembly chambers. You all produce award-winning media about your sorority. That's a nice thing to tout when it comes out. And you also have been historically establishing yourself through your historic efforts in HBCU fundraising that is unprecedented. But in the spirit of SOAR, I hear that in my household from now and again, you most recently, as a sorority, celebrated the opening for the members-only federal credit union, the first black-owned, women-led, sorority-based digital banking financial institution in the history of the United States. Madam President, for your sorority's historical leadership on the front lines of change, education, and advocacy, it is my distinct honor to present the 2023 Alpha Award of Honor to the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. This one is not on.
Okay, I just want to say on behalf of the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, we want to thank you. We are humbled, we are honored, and we want to work not only with yourself and the men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, all of my brothers and sisters, the Divine Nine, to make sure that not only we do service to all mankind, but they also keep building our economic worth and advocating for social justice. We're honored. Thank you.
Thank you. And you also have that medallion that can be held. Now, as we continue to move on, we have moved to a very high honor for our guests tonight. We have two more, and then we can go out and enjoy some food, and I'll make it as succinct, but of the appropriateness for our honorees. Our third presentation tonight falls into the category of the General Presidential Citation. This citation is given in honor and recognition of significant work, both at the society level or within a field of study. And something must be good about Washington, D.C., because I know Dr. Jackson's from Washington, D.C., and this next honoree, she's from D.C. Not a lot of people know that, but I happen to have been studying a little bit. But this third presentation will be a presidential citation to none other than Dr. Glenda Glover. Would you please join me, Dr. Glover? I get to tell you what to do this time. Last time you were telling me, where's the check? You remember that? Y'all remember that, don't you? Dr. Glover, you began serving as the 8th president of Tennessee State University in January of 2013. Now, this was historic in its own right, being the first woman to lead that institution. Now, here's where the Superman or Superwoman cape comes out. She is a certified public accountant. You are one of 2 African American women nationwide who hold the PhD, CPA, and JD combination. And you are regarded as one of the nation's experts on corporate governance. Now, I've got to slip this in because I think this is the right point. She doesn't know I know this. I'm not going to say the year because I'm not going to have her pinch me as she walks off the stage. But I know she's an Alpha Psi initiate of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. But what I loved and learned to hear is that she was Miss A Phi A for 3 years in a row. A little bias, maybe. It's all good. But as a corporate leader and someone who has the privilege of serving 10 years as an academic, but 23 years in corporate global leadership, I recognize that Dr. Glover possesses a term that we use very regularly in my industry and field, and that's alignment. Her positioning, I believe, is one of the best examples of how a university president has leveraged every resource that she has at her disposal. Corporate, higher education, business legal strategies, and professional development strategies. In fact, it's downright impressive how her vision not only led the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority when she was the 30th International President and CEO of Alpha Kappa Alpha from 2018 to 2022 to establish groundbreaking work to elevate the stature of HBCUs with historic fundraising efforts and marketing. She also, though, through her work as a college president, established a fundraising campaign, and $1 million in one day for HBCUs became a resonating component within the HBCU community. And she and the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha at that time elevated the HBCU community. And as an HBCU alumnus, I was extremely proud of that. But what I want to say is that she's also taken that position and her legal expertise to places, for example, in front of the Tennessee state legislature, where she was literally being pelleted by questions of how can you do this, how can you do this, but her professionalism, her legal expertise, her ability to leverage her knowledge across several fields made it apparent that despite the intentional and racist efforts of this legislator, his attack was foiled by the beauty and prowess combined of Dr. Glover. And I say beauty in the sense she's a beautiful person. And she comes across as friendly and engaging to her students. I remember my university president, and I have fond memories when I think about the engagement I had with them. And I know that the students of Tennessee State University are benefited from that. As I close my comments for you, you have been able to raise more than $9 million for HBCUs over the course of your presidency alone. But what I've also loved about you is your ability to bring entities together, including the TSU Amazon Academic Collaboration, which is a unique one where corporate sponsorship and connection to an academic opportunity means that someone will obtain a degree and elevate themselves in the position in society. That is why your alignment mentality caught my eye, Dr. Glover, and I think you are well deserving of the recognition from Alpha Phi Alpha as a 2023 Presidential Citation Awardee. Congratulations. Well done, my dear. Now, I need to see.
General President of Alpha Phi Alpha, to the members of Alpha Phi Alpha, and to all who are here tonight, thank you very much for this citation. This is an open-ended award. There's so much more to be done. We're joining forces, continuing our forces with Alpha Phi Alpha and Divine Nine to fight for educational equality, for fairness and funding, for social and economic parity. The fight still continues. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to continuing this struggle with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Glover. Our last award, brothers and sisters, is really a little bit of excitement for me. Now, some brothers were in here booing earlier because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. You can have that. But this brother is a contemporary of mine in Alpha Phi Alpha. But he is a resident of Dallas, Texas. And I wanted the citizens in Dallas to be able to share in his recognition. Brother Charles Haley, would you please come forward for our final presidential citation presentation? As Brother Haley comes, Brother Haley, be careful. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Be careful. No hate, man. Brother Haley, you began your career as a specialty outside linebacker, eventually progressing to pass rusher, and finally a full-fledged defensive end. You are the first 5-time Super Bowl champion, winning 2 Super Bowl rings with the San Francisco 49ers and 3 rings with my beloved Dallas Cowboys. I love them. Love the haters. Let it go. And you were a starter in all 5 championship games. Now, off the gridiron, you have found a new way to help and set new records. As the founder of the Tackle Tomorrow Foundation, you are laser-focused on assisting struggling schools in the Dallas area with reading programs and special teachers to help students improve their reading skills, and recognizing that reading levels are often directly attributed to a child's success in school and life. In addition to Tackle Tomorrow, you've been supportive and a supportive partner with organizations with a mission to remove challenges that teen cancer patients face and helping them pave a smoother path to education. This undergirded by your personal testimony in your own family. But I also relate to you, Brother Haley, because I almost went to James Madison University, as I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and you're a native Virginian too. And you pledged to Alpha in 82, and I pledged to Alpha in 86. So we're not 85. Yeah, get it right. Oh, well, you know, that's okay, because that makes me feel a tad bit better, because I know that you know many of the brothers like Anthony Meekins from Richmond, Virginia, who went to high school with me. So when I saw that you were in the Dallas area, I thought it would be right for your brothers to acknowledge the great work and the spirit of Alpha that you carry with you even to this day. And I'll have them fix that in the database because they got you at 82. Yeah. But nonetheless, Brother Charles Haley, it is my pleasure to present to you this presidential citation for your extremely beneficial philanthropic work.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Brother Adrian Escalante, president of the Xi Tau Lambda chapter of North Dallas County. Our chapter has the honor of serving with Brother Haley and his foundation's efforts to feed the community. General President Lonzer, knowing that you are a fan of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, we wanted to give you a memento of your week in Dallas, as well as of our NFL Hall of Famer, Brother Charles Haley. Please accept this personalized autographed jersey.
Brother Haley, thank you so much, man. Man, I love it, man. Let's shift over. That jersey's heavy. Thank you, good brother.
Thank you so much for honoring me. Tackle Tomorrow, we go into the ELF schools in South Dallas, and we transform the schools from the inside, put computers. They are miniature private schools after we leave. But we never leave because we leave that footprint forever, because Tackle Tomorrow is not going anywhere. The reason why I pledge Alpha Phi Alpha because of the service work that they did, and because they graduate too. So, you know, hey, I went to James Madison. I got a white education, but I got one. You can believe that. And But when I went to school, I was reading 2 grade levels behind, and the hardest thing I ever did in my life was to get my college degree. And I do mean it's hard. So I gave James Madison my Hall of Fame bus because I want every kid to walk through that school to understand it's not a right, but a privilege, and they should get their college education. And, you know, this is something that I live on a daily. And I'm happy the brothers, they come out to help me serve about 6,000 meals during Christmas and Thanksgiving. Guys, I'm blessed. The people on my board, most of them are Trumpers. You know, I went down to see the president because you got to understand. You got to understand what you don't understand. And I went down to try to understand it, and I still didn't. But those guys got all the money, so you know what? And my job is on my board is all those guys by the end of 1 year to make them change the way they view black and brown. And then the other thing that I feel like I have to do, I have to change the way black and brown families view education. And if I can't do that part, guys, you know, it's a waste of time. And God has blessed me, and thank Apple for honoring me.
Appreciate you, brother. Much love, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us so we could present to our honorees. I would like to, as we close, and I'll ask Dr. Augustine, our general chaplain, to come, that we still have plenty of food in the reception that's prepared for you in the foyer. We ask that you would join us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you and fellowshipping with you. Thank you for being a part of our public program. Oh, did he? Okay, is Brother Broadnax in the audience still? Please come forward. I did not know that. Please come forward, Brother Broadnax. We'll close very shortly, please. Please. If you don't know, Brother T.C. Broadnax is the city manager of Dallas, and an alpha man, and he's my brother, and he's my alpha brother. Here you go, Doc.
Good evening, everyone. I know I'm standing in between whatever's going on out there, so I am not going to be long. I wanted to bring greetings and welcome those who are not from the great state of Texas and or not from Dallas. Want to welcome you to the fine city of Dallas. I am hopeful that you are going to enjoy your time not only at this conference and convention, but in our city. I will say this as a proud Alpha brother. It is extremely rewarding to, one, be in the presence of many people that have continued to do the things that I heard a little bit about this evening, and that is continue the efforts of service. I think in support of the Divine Nine, I would say it is appropriate and a perfect time for us as Greek organizations to want to continue the unified nature at which we are continuing to address many of the issues that many of us got into these fraternities to make sure we were fighting for and or against, that we've got to collectively continue to work together. Because there are many things going on, even in this great state, that don't sit right with the future of the young people that we raised and or continue to support through our efforts, that we got to continue to fight the fights from positions of whether it's a part of these organizations or what you do in your day job. Not be remiss and forget that the struggle is real and we're living it every day. And so I want to thank not only President Lanza, but the entire Alpha Phi Alpha organization for what you've been doing in your individual communities. I know our individual chapters here, we do a lot of work and we spend a lot of time giving back. And so again, I want to thank you and welcome you to our city on behalf of our mayor and city council and our mayor pro tem, who is also an Alpha Phi Alpha member. I want to welcome you. Stay safe, enjoy the fellowship, learn, figure out how we get stronger together, and keep fighting the great fight, because there's a lot more work to be done out in this country, and particularly in this great city. While we're doing the things we're doing, we can always do more. So thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to welcome folks. So enjoy the conference.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
My brothers and my sisters, let me invite you to stand. That puts you one step closer to the door as we prepare to pray now. Heads are bowed, eyes are closed. Precious God, we thank you for all that our eyes have seen, for all that our ears have heard, for all that our hearts have felt. Bless us as we prepare to leave this place, but never from your holy presence. Dear God, please also bless the food we are about to receive. Bless the precious hands that prepared it. Allow it to nourish us and sustain us, and allow us to grow stronger, dear God, in faithful service to you. This is our prayer. In your precious name, amen.
Amen.